Hey everybody, welcome back to Q Live. You are here. I am here. I'm Bill Selleck, pronouns are he, him. I'm Director of Technology at Hillbrook School. And we have, are you ready? You better be ready, because if you're not ready, you have about 2 seconds while I fill this sentence to say, are you ready? We have Cate. Cate is here. I'm pointing in the right direction. There she is. Ah, yay! 30 points for Cate. Cate, how are you? Start off by telling us who are you and then how are you?
Oh, I'm who I am. I'm Cate, and how I am. I'm great, and I rhyme like no big deal, no big time.
It's
Here I
about
go.
that time.
It's about that time. So Cate Tolnai. I work at the Cross Center for Innovation as our Director of Strategy and Marketing. I am a teacher of teachers, and I am I bleed blue and gold. That would be Q colors. And I also just am excited to be here, as always, to connect into the Q community. The community.
The Q community. I know. Oh, we had a Q live with somebody who was newer to Q, and I just kept throwing the Q puns at him. Poor Steven. He was just like, okay. He kept rolling with it, but he was like, I could tell he's like, these are a lot of puns that are just really not funny. And I was like, this it's okay, dude. Just follow my cue.
Roll with it.
And he's
giggle.
just like,
well, and it's so fun because I did work at Q for a few years as director of member engagement. So I'm seeing all the little fun Q logos out there, little rainbow Q. And
oh yeah.
Like collegiate Q, and that was all part of my era. So
did you build it, designing these logos?
I helped a little bit. Yeah, I worked with our graphic designer on some of the ideas, and then our team of John and Danny. We just kind of like ideated and came up with some fun ideas.
So cool.
Right.
I love it. So cool. That's a stretch. But we're gonna go with it.
No, I like it actually.
Yeah. Oh, great. Good.
Yeah.
Then great. So you're doing Meet the Authors. You're an author. Let's throw up a square GIF, and we'll do a little dance. Meet the Authors. It's Meet the Authors time.
There it is. That's the
book.
It
is. All right.
Yeah, that's the book. Yep, I get to do Meet the Authors this year. I co-authored the book Power Up Your Classroom with Lindsay Blass. So I am representing the both of us at this event. And we're just going to talk about game-based learning, but really as it came out in 2019. And I don't know if you know, there's been some stuff going on in education since then. So we've really had to leverage that tagline, reimagine learning through gameplay, because we are all reimagineering right now, and we are taking what we know has worked in the past, I think, and zhuzhing it to make it fit for whatever the heck flexible environment we're in right now. And I know everybody is changing things up on an hourly basis. But what's been fun is shifting from just talking about game design to actually talking about the way that game-based learning and social emotional learning are so interconnected.
Ooh, tell me more.
Yeah. So when you break down game mechanics, and when you, like in the book, we provide a framework for actual game design, where we talk about, what's your purpose, what are the rules of play, what's the instructional, like kind of the instructional design of games. But when you start to process out what happens, like the emotional results of playing games, often what you will see is collaboration, you see teamwork, creativity, thinking outside the box, and resilience to failure. And these are all things that are very prominent in the world of social emotional learning. And so once I made that connection a couple of years ago, and I've just been keeping my ears open to it, obviously dialing into all the needs around SEL right now for both educators and learners, it's such a natural fit to carve out time in your day to play and to bring joy to your classroom. So that's really the angle in which we're rolling out Power Up Your Classroom at this point. And how cool is it that the book can flex in a lot of different ways? I think that's really
neat. That's really neat. I just made a connection that I never really thought about, how you named gameplay and SEL really fit together. I'm thinking, the board games, we have most of them now by the company Peaceable Kingdom.
Oh.
So I don't know how many of those you know. Do you know this?
I don't.
No. I think you might be a little bit young for your kids. We learned about it at Hillbrook with our kindergarten team had it.
Okay.
Peaceable Kingdom games. I'm gonna look them all up because I'm gonna blank out. So Gnomes at Night is my favorite. There's Dinosaur Escape is another one. This Google image search is not helping me at all. My
So they're
goodness.
super developmentally appropriate ways to play with
They
purpose.
are.
Yeah.
They are. There's a new one, Count Your Chickens. That's really
Oh,
cool.
I have that
Stone
one. We have that
Soup.
game. My kids love that
Yeah,
game.
yeah, yeah. Yes, this is Peaceable Kingdom. Race to the Treasure is one of their better ones.
Oh,
My
yeah.
favorite though is Gnomes at Night. And so the way this works is the board's there and then you set something in front, right? So imagine like Connect Four style,
Yeah.
but instead of holes, it's a board. And you have a map, and then the person on the opposite side has their own map. And
Ooh.
then you have magnets. You have your gnomes that stick.
Oh, it's
And
like
so
Battleship.
like Battleship, and you pick a card, and so you're like, we need to find the glass key. And so I'd be like, that's on my side. And so I'll like go down, and there's like barriers, so it's like a dungeon kind of
Uh-huh.
map,
Uh-huh.
but very like kid-friendly dungeon. And I'll go there, and I'm stuck. I hit a dead end, and then I'll say, can you go down and towards the kitchen, right? Because I can't say right. And so then you're like, yeah, I can. So then you go down, but if I grab it, guess what happens to your gnome?
He falls off.
It falls off, right? And then you have to go back to the start, right? So you can't just like, no,
But
you
it's
can't take over.
It's collaborative,
You
right?
have to work together, right?
That's what I know about Count Your Chickens. It is collaborative. And so one of the pages in the book where we talk about it's actually funny. I was just meeting with Greg Eilers and Christina Bustamante because the three of us, they were a part of the book as well. They came in as game masters. So they talk, they have little 2 or 3 page spreads in the book talking about how they use games in their instructional practice. But the three of us have presented several times on the topic. And one of the things that resonated with us right now is the classroom community readiness to play games. And we have like this yes, no chart where it's like, okay, I'm going to read here. Like, have you spent time discussing the role of failure and setbacks as positive learning experiences? So if you haven't, as a teacher, if you haven't brought that to the conversation with your students, then you probably not need to pause on bringing game-based learning to your classroom because they're not like emotionally and culturally ready for it. So we have this yes, no with like 5 different considerations to think about. And actually our session is going to be on social emotional learning and gameplay. So yay.
Yeah. And what's interesting is I think like game-based learning kind of got put in a box kind of quickly. And so many teachers I know are just like, that's not for me.
Or I don't have time for that. That's
exactly
Friday fun day.
Right. And I think we're at the point now, like still mid-pandemic, right? Where like teachers can't ignore social emotional learning anymore. Even if you were like, I don't get it, I don't have time for it. Like in the past, it could just be like, I'm going to teach my subject, particularly the older your students are.
Yeah.
Like there's so much pressure to cover the content, right?
Yeah.
So you justifiably like have to cover the content. But I think right now, like students are not allowing you to teach without that social emotional component,
totally.
right?
I mean, more and more teachers, they're saying like their students are coming to them with the emotional intelligence of 2 years ago, right?
Yeah,
so your second graders are emotionally ready as a kindergartner would be, and so on and so forth. And so we are not only backtracking on like lost content stuff or content that wasn't covered the way that we would have wanted it to, but we're also struggling with really like the emotional readiness and like teamwork, and sharing, and don't just shout out in the middle of a lesson, right? Like kind of all the social norms.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I loved about teaching kindergarten. I only got to do that for 1 year, but kindergartners like will not tolerate something, right? So if you're teaching a bad lesson, like it immediately. Like I remember teaching like grad school ed tech courses like earlier on. I would do what I was modeled. So like you lecture for like 3 hours, right? And adults will like be compliant and just be like on Facebook for an hour ignoring you, but will be polite, right? And kindergartners, no, like they will let you know, like this is too hard for me. You didn't prepare me for this project. Like you have been talking too long. Like they cannot tolerate that politeness of like being somewhere you don't want to be. And I think like our ability, I think for all humans, like is kind of wearing thin, that if all of our social emotional needs aren't being met, that like, I think K-12 students are naming that and like interrupting that in a way that we haven't seen before. And so I think it's causing all educators, whether they cared about it or not,
Yeah.
to have to engage with it. And I think that this is a very long way of getting at the fact that, like, I think this is actually a really cool entry point for educators that don't know quite how to do SEL. You know, maybe they're not doing responsive classroom or developmental designs. They don't have like a program or a training they've been to. This could be like a really cool on-ramp for them to like tackle something that's just never been forced on their plate in a way that it is now.
Yeah. And I think just being mindful of it too, right? One of the things, so in my new position at the Krause Center for Innovation, so while I do strategy and marketing, my heart and my passion is really in the space of programs and people. And so anytime I have an opportunity to be a part of a program and to spend time with educators, I jump at it. And I have a team that allows me to do so. So just last weekend, we held an event called Celebrate Learning with SEL at the beginning of Celebrate. And it was a small but mighty group that got together, first time in 18 months that we were all together up in San Jose. And it was a day dedicated to really teacher health and wellness and making sure that we're getting to the right space ourselves so that we can be ready to be there for our students. One of the presenters, Doreen Bondi, who I wish I had memorized her Twitter handle, but she's an amazing sharer in the space of mindfulness and physical health and like yoga and breathing exercises and teacher burnout. She spoke at length about this concept of toxic positivity and how it's not enough for educators to hear from others and say, okay, let me take on the role of an administrator or a decision maker at the district level, right? Like our teachers need to take care of themselves. They need to find time to, they need to find time.
I dropped that in for you.
I saw that. Yeah. I hope that's her Twitter handle.
Yeah. It is. I looked her up.
Oh, perfect. You're fast. So it's not enough to just say to do it and then also pack on all the things that have to be done, right? That's in a sense really toxic. And so what we need to do is be realistic with our conversations and also not place judgment on anything that will fill you up, right? Like sometimes for me, what makes me so ready to start my next day is planning the night before. And where some people would look at that and go, Kate, you just need to kick your legs up, like take a deep breath, drink a cup of tea, watch some TV and relax. Like that stresses me out. Right. And that's just, I can do that once I'm ready for the next day. So it's giving space for all of us to figure out what the right recipe is for us. And I can put a link here to a download. I don't know if you remember Highlights Magazine.
Yeah.
When we were little. Oh my God. I used to love it. Okay. My very, very favorite were these ones where you had to like find the picture in there. Right. So I made one of these. I drew this and I hid some of these. I hid some of these fun little images in here. And it's like, find the hidden images in the staff lounge, or, come up with your own inspirational stickers and put them on your sticker bottle. What's another one I wanted to show? Oh, here, like decode games for your game closet. So see how it's like, get the teachers to happy hour. You got that?
Yeah.
So it's just a small little like touch point to remember that teachers need recess too. So sometimes, making sure that our teachers have adequate resources and permission to fill their buckets is enough, not necessarily having to name it, because if someone names it for me and it doesn't do it for me, then I feel guilty. And then that makes it all worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it does not help.
No, it does not.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Kate, thank you so much for joining us on Q Live. If you end up missing Meet the Authors, like us, or we're ready, we're going to miss it. Here we go. Miss it.
Missing.
Or if you're there, or if you miss it, Meet the Authors is available. See what we're doing with the square GIF.
Yeah.
You're able to watch it through the end of 2021, right? Fall Q goes all the way to 2022.
Summer 31st.
Which is so exciting.
And I will also be at the QLA meetup tomorrow, with the affiliate meetups. And if there's airs after, then perhaps I was there.
It will. It
will, because that's like the first thing that's
you're giving away all the secrets, but that's okay. That's the power of technology, though, right? We don't have to actually do this on a Saturday morning.
Got it. Yeah. Right on. Well, anyways, I'll be there a bunch around. There's my handle at Cate Tolnai, and hope to connect soon.
Awesome. Very cool. And this might be a good time to also plug Spring Q.
Oh, yeah.
You can register if you want to be a presenter presentation submissions are open. It's going to be in Palm Springs. Kate, you and I were just talking, making plans to hang out in person. Makes me very excited. Also a little bit anxious, if I'm being honest. I've not been hanging out with humans yet. But Spring Q, it's going to happen.
It'll be a good time.
It'll be so exciting. Yeah. I know. And I didn't tell you, actually. I'm actually here. I'm in Oasis 4. I'm already in Palm Springs. It's awesome.
So weird.
Such a large crowd, it's very quiet and the lighting is excellent. But what can I tell you?
Oh, thanks, Bill. Thanks for doing this and shining light on all the good stories around us.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Kate. Be sure and tweet out where we can get that Teacher's Highlights book.
Oh, yeah.
That is so exciting. Everybody be sure and pick up that book that Kate wrote, Power Up Your Classroom, Reimagine Learning Through Gameplay. And thank you all for joining us here.